Escapee shot dead. Push to clean up education projects in Eastern Highlands. And High Performance Center in Kokopo.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Monday's news. A man convicted for the murder of a senior pediatrician in Leh was shot dead yesterday during a prison break at Buimo Prison. 25-year-old David Naya was serving 35 years for the murder of Dr. Alphonse Rongap at the time of his death. Naya was convicted at the Buimo National Court in October 2019.
The deceased David Naya was among 16 others who escaped yesterday during visitation hours at the Buimo prison. According to police reports, this would have been Naya's third escape from police custody. Police records say Naya first escaped in 2017 while awaiting his trial. He was recaptured in Wewak after a failed armed robbery offense. In 2018, Naya escaped again while being hospitalized. He was recaptured again last year in Wewak and was transferred to Leh, where he was convicted of the murder of Dr. Alphonse Rongap. In June 2016, Naya and his accomplices attempted to rob Dr. Rongap along Leh's Back Road area. They tried to stop the vehicle, but when Dr. Rongap continued driving, Naya shot him in the head. The doctor died from pellet wounds to the head. Naya stood trial on the 31st of October 2019 and pleaded guilty to the willful murder of Dr. Rongap and was sentenced to 35 years in prison with hard labor. According to a police report, a correctional service officer was also killed during the breakout. The 25-year-old man from Jiwaka had just passed out as a correctional service officer. He sustained injuries to his chest and was rushed to Engau Hospital but died minutes later. Police are yet to discover the cause of his death. Leh police have since started investigation into the escape and the death of the CS officer. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News, Leh.
2 suspects involved in an attack on 2 Mount Hagen-based Mobile Squad 5 members surrendered to police last Friday in Porgera, Enga Province. This morning, they appeared for their first mention at the Wabeg District Court. The 2 MS5 members are currently receiving medical treatment in Port Moresby after being airlifted from Porgera 2 weeks ago.
The incident occurred on the night of January 5th during a normal police patrol at the mining town of Porgera. The suspects and more than 30 other tribesmen were returning from a compensation ceremony when the shootout happened. One MS5 member was shot in the head while another was shot in his thigh. Contingent Commander Chief Inspector Luvi Florian said the suspects are from the Tagali LLG of Hela Province who resettled in Porgera recently in pursuit of the enemy who also came to Porgera.
To get the suspects that will surrender today, we'll make sure that the both factions of what they will have to surrender themselves with the weapons and some other things that they used to have it to attack each other.
The suspect's leader, who is also known as a warlord, Lambari Akui, handed over the suspects and apologized to police, saying the attack was an accident. Lambari claiming the enemy also wears police and PNG Defence Force uniforms and drove around in tinted vehicles, which provoked them to shoot at the MS5 members who at the time were traveling in an unmarked vehicle.
Now this problem come up. So this is two man kisi me exerina and two man bi bay rausi kam lahan bli government because me ne pay the government.
Local leaders from the Suyan area of Porgera Valley have urged those from Hela to return to their province as the mining town has recently seen an influx of people from neighboring Hela province fleeing from tribal fights as well as pursuing their enemies.
Like kissing back. One amount me go walk long ama, you to kissing back long lig level walk long me bring him so that me can walk one time long move him this country go forward now bring a peace inside the community.
The handing over of the suspects was an initiative of the Operation Make Him Save Group, a peace mediation group, in collaboration with the Restoring Justice Initiative Governance Risk and the Joint Security Forces based in Pogera. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
During the Eastern Highlands Provincial Government's yearly check and balance meeting, it was revealed the education infrastructure contracts have been unaudited since 2013. Recently appointed Education Director in the province, Wesley Albert, said the Education Department was unable to acquit for nearly all infrastructure projects. Meanwhile, the Province Governor, Peter Numo, has asked the Provincial Works Department to relook at the process of scoping for classrooms and teachers' housing to standardize costing.
Eastern Highlands Provincial Administration Education Director Wesley Albert said that since 2013, when education infrastructure grants began, the provincial government hasn't been able to acquit for all contracts.
2013, I come up so much millions of money I'm going to schools, especially putting up on infrastructure. I think from there, I'm looking at some coordinating good come. Along the way, planting money, you put him yet, monitoring, coordinating, so money just go lose nothing.
While the province is looking to improve education by having qualified teachers and quality infrastructure, Mr. Albert says that due to the lack of communication between the Provincial Works Department and the education sector, there are now a number of projects that are incomplete, while some have not even begun at all.
Building is a technical aspect where you need technical expertise. Hello, awesome. Go past na, supervise him na, give him. Inshallah, this la milukim em. Ami how much was tupla deputy ibla kamen na ibla ben spearhead him this la some education process ibla ibla ben roll him out. Inshallah, this la the main player awesome. Works em kamen to provide him technical expert advice. The main implementing division and medication. But inshallah, this la roll out programs. Education has been left out. Now, me as a sector head, we got limited to some idea of what project you start to the way it's implemented, how much is implemented, so that we can be able to collectively, look, project come up with now. You can put in my one time.
Eastern Highlands Province Governor Peter Numo calling for the department to communicate better.
If we can identify problem, we can find solution. So that's what I'm talking about. So I think the works now. Education, I think Deputy PA bring me in charge of infrastructure and so can take note on that, and we can proceed as a team to deliver services.
Meanwhile, the governor has asked the Department of Works to relook at how architectural scoping for contracts is done, and that classroom and teacher houses architectural scopes should be standardized.
All that are building design very much standard. It reflects the provincial government. And then we know the costing. So once this design is built, I want you can look maybe 2 or 3 different or architect independent. You engage them all by looking, confirming that yes, the quality of this building was that much, and the design of that building was that much. And then the provincial government must standard all across North Stockholm. The provincial government is delivering this. So awesome.
Adelaide Sirokskari, National EMTV News.
The main suspect in the Kaugere killing has turned himself into police, while another suspect in the 9 Mile murder was apprehended by police. The killings are not related, but both murders have been described as brutal and unfortunate.
In the murder at Kaugere over the weekend, police have established the motive was because of continuous disturbances from loud music, allegedly caused by the deceased and his friends. The deceased, an adult male from Western Province, was beheaded around 10 a.m. last Saturday at his residence.
Last weekend, incident at Sabama involved Engen and somebody from Western, the victim from a disease, I'd say, from Western Province. As you can see, few hours after that incident, we had our policemen brought the situation back to normal, and the suspect volunteered or surrendered at Goris police station and was taken in by our homicide, who are dealing with the case as we speak.
This murder incident comes days after another man was beheaded at 9 Mile in the Mosby Northeast electorate following a dispute over money.
The suspect was apprehended yesterday, yes, over the weekend, and as I have his report here, he's been dealt with by homicide. So those current situation on something that led to tribal conflict. Police are on top of it. Investigation is continuing as we speak. So it will take its natural investigation process.
The suspect in this case was apprehended by Gordon's police and is now in police custody. Both suspects have been refused police bail.
We appeal to the groups from both the victim and the assailant families to leave the case as it is and let the police carry the investigation rather than they continue to cause more inconvenience in the city. And we have police monitoring those two areas to ensure it does not erupt again.
Lagunga, National EMTV News.
This is National EMTV News. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The Correctional Service Remembrance Day was recently commemorated at Bomana outside Port Moresby. Friday, the 19th of January, was a day dedicated to remember correctional service officers who lost their lives during the Bougainville crisis. One of the survivors of the conflict, Sergeant John Scoop, says fallen CS officers, as well as survivors during that period, have not been recognized for their sacrifices, something which the government should honor.
The idea to commemorate the day came about as a result of the aftermath of the Bougainville crisis, following an attack on the Couveria jail on January 17, 1990. During the time, the CS officers stationed at the Couveria provincial jail were attacked by the Bougainville Revolutionary Army. Couveria jail was destroyed. The CS officers, including their families, were attacked, and some sustained injuries, which they still bear the scars to this present day, whilst others tragically lost their lives in the attack.
No, we have been attacked in the 12 o'clock, around 12 o'clock in the night. So we can't do much. We have been sleeping, so we don't know. We just came out. When we came out from the donga, they just shot us like anything. I was injured. I got all the bullets across my chest here, and my eye. I lost one of my eye, my right eye. It's 100% lost.
Sergeant John Scoop, who survived the attack, was a technical officer during the crisis. He described this situation as an unforgettable experience of his life. Scoop says they were not trained for such battles, but managed to survive without using weapons for protection.
We never been trained given any good form of training, or any good firearms or nothing. Just went empty-handed. So experience. Something where behind on from now on you got some kind of call out or same training more officers goodness.
Years have passed, but those CS officers who served during the line of their duties on the Couveria jail attack have not been recognized for their service they provided and their significant sacrifice. What Sergeant John Scoop says, a failure by government Iraqis for not honoring the brave CS officers.
But some of us have been struggling and face a lot of hardships on that type of days. And you see things happening, but we've never been given any good recognition on this type of occasions. We've never been given any medals or any promotion or anything like this. For this type of out, we just continue celebration after celebration. Nearly 20 years we've been celebrating, but we don't know whom they celebrated, whom they awarded. I'm not really happy.
Suli Suli, National EMTV News.
A 73-year-old resident of Leh has inquired about getting a license that would allow him to sell his handicraft in the city. Bruno Leffy, originally from Fintrafen, asked the Leh Urban local level government to clarify what license is needed after he was chased by city council officers who he claims also got money from him for street vending. 73-year-old Bruno makes belts and cowboy hats from animal fur and sells them for less than 100 kina.
Bruno Leffy was trying to get a vendor's license from the Leh Urban Local Level Government Council office this morning when the EMTV news crew met him. The 73-year-old needs a vending license in order to sell his crafts around Leh to avoid being chased by the city council officers who Leffy claimed also get money from him for street vending. Leffy said there should be proper legal steps to follow and laws to abide with when it comes to street vending.
Mi looking for some, and me play mrobe man, me play putting law and order inside mrobe province, lo yomi. Na me play the boss in the law and order. Na me serve nothing in a good plan. Mi man blow mrobe, na mi man blow working law and order lo here lo mrobe province. Now me must be an law blow me. Okay, me must go kisim license long city council. Now give me paper on me can sell them out. Sell them out inside long or Leh City or area long Leh City lo one have kona me can market.
The 73-year-old Carpenter veteran began his belt and cowboy hat business in 2015. Bruno Leffy gets animals fur from Leh's abattoir after they're being butchered and makes these belts and cowboy hats for men. He sells the belts for 20 kina and hats for 70 kina. Leffy said he was taught the skills of making cowboy hats from animals fur during the colonial times.
Well, also be coming so long here long. Papua New Guinea, or kissing me plan walk na ito lani mi plan o Carpenter taso o lani mi plan sa kan santi mo septo o abattoir. Okay. Misalnya kesalahan, now mistapia, now milking was an abattoir, so lost in seeking brown car long, and the abattoir, or lost in a thrown about. Thrown about them, so because I will on the second centimeter making. Okay. Nicolo abattoir, Mr. I'm asking all. The okay, me can help you. Okay, me give all a half boy or smoke or half, 10 to another long or workman or give me just a skin cow. Now I can try him. Try me walking cowboy cap, want them belt, me walk on sales.
The 73-year-old said he has to be given a proper license so he can continue to sell his crafts freely around the city because there isn't a proper shelter to accommodate these type of businesses. In addressing the issue of street vending, Leh MP John Rosso said Leh City Authority would soon set up proper buildings to accommodate similar SME businesses.
We will also be looking at trying to conduct SME businesses and take away the places where they can sell arts and craft and take it away from and create proper avenues for them to sell their stuff in.
Julie Badui, OA, National EMTV News, Leh.
A language course attended by mainly children and grandchildren from the Boem Sara village in Yanguru Sausia district has proven rewarding after 2 weeks of training. The lessons, conducted for the first time in Port Moresby, attracted at least 60 people, including those married into the Boem Sara community.
The initiative to teach children and grandchildren from Boem Sara village their native language comes at a time most families are spending longer periods living away from their village. Willie Wamaingu, one of the trainers, says he is excited to teach the children their identity, something that most children who were raised in the cities miss out on.
Na blo Boem na Sara em one bla blo this la plant culture. So I am thankful to the Boem and Sara community of Yanguru Kubale. They have realized that. Now they've invited trainers to come in. The course we did, the training we started for the last 2 weeks, it's an eye-opener. It is only a start. We have many more to go.
This course was divided into 2 categories, one for the beginners and the other for advanced learners. The idea is to preserve the traditional language, a form of identity that members of the Boem Sara community aim to strengthen at the start of a new decade.
Sa time la kam no line am kaino sa mem karim logo vek no place tom plan karim sam bingis la pride in salon pero som do young group so implo sam do pikini do Boem Sara. But me personally me feel mo sam bisa lili guerrero tom plan mi plala so no plawet so kuro anyamba huse ikere simbi ikere crambo some basics lo karim black am pro some it's a step lo life tombalo some nine top lesson.
Topics covered throughout the course include basic greeting words and the history of families and clans in the Boem Sara community. Leslie Somera is from Gulf Province, who married into the Boem Sara community. She says the lessons is something positive for her children.
So it was really, really good, and we were able to identify ourselves with everybody else, the kids especially. So for me as a mother and coming from another religious, it was more important for me that the children came. So for me it wasn't about me, but it was more for the boys that I have, because they are big and have to be able to identify themselves. Yes, we've been to the village, but we've been in Mosby for a very long time. So when they came along, they just didn't learn about the language, but they were also able to connect with the other cousins and were able to form a bond that we didn't really see earlier. So for me, that was a really big achievement, and that's the main takeaway that I was really wanting to take away from this.
Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
You're watching Monday's News. We take another break. When we return, we take a look at stories making headlines overseas. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now. First it was rain, now Australia is battling heavy rain, hail and dust storms. The east coast has seen months of dry hot weather, and while the rain will help those fighting the bushfires, it's also created new challenges.
There was no escape.
Oh, here we go.
An enormous dust storm sweeping across the parched central New South Wales soil.
Casually driving through the big dust storm, orange side of parks. On a gale.
The state's unusually dry weather making it easier for these storms to form.
I feel like we're in an episode of Twister.
First, the winds, some at over 100 kilometres an hour, whip up the dust, creating these clouds. Then an hour later, some much-needed rain arrived.
What is that stuff called? What is it called? Precipitation!
Melbourne copped a downpour too. Residents forced to hide inside as hail pelted, stones up to 5 centimetres in diameter.
Look at the size of both pools on the brand new car.
The full force unleashed on this backyard pool. Local cricket grounds turned white in summer and streets became torrents. Drivers forced to pull over. A ceiling collapsed in a supermarket. Queensland is now in clean-up mode too. The state's weekend of heavy rain damaging homes and vehicles.
Bucket of down, we've got water through the roof and backyard. People above us, all their water's coming through our yard.
The wet weather providing some much-needed respite for those fighting Australia's flames. Crews still trying to contain fires burning out of control. While many are celebrating the turn in the weather fortunes, it's presented new problems for others.
He may just be 7 years old, but that's not stopping Ryder Grayson from trying to change the lives of those who lost everything in the Australian bushfires. The young fellow was so moved by Australia's bushfires, he wanted to make a difference of his own.
Not many
many 7-year-olds think or feel as deeply as Ryder Grierson.
People are losing homes, but I'm not, so I feel kind of bad for them.
Like all of us, Ryder and his family have found the past few weeks pretty harrowing, watching from a distance the devastating impact of bushfires destroying lives, homes and habitat. So Ryder wanted to help. He decided the family's camper van, only bought a year ago for holidays, could be put to better use.
So they can feel better instead of living on the ground or the cardboard.
His big brother wasn't on board straight away, but it didn't take much convincing. This morning, the temporary home was loaded on the back of an all-states tow truck. For free, of course, and headed to the fire-ravaged town of Cobargo. Ryder also saved just over $60 doing chores around the house and helping mum at work.
Very demanding on what I'm going to do next, and you have to pay me for this. How much money do I get to brush my teeth?
It's all on its way to Cobargo.
So this is so he can first get a bit of food, get a plan for his new home.
Where Michael, who lost everything last month, is eagerly awaiting its arrival.
Can't wait to meet the young fella and thank him for young man's thoughts thinking that way.
Ryder is just one of thousands of incredible Australians who have decided to help without wanting anything in return. But given his age and the fact he's a mad Roosters fan, we decided to give him a little something back.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, legend.
Sam Verrills dropped by with a signed jersey.
See ya, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you, you're a good man.
And tickets with shared access to the club's first home game.
He's obviously a good young lad, and I'm just, it's blown away with words with what he's doing.
And as if Ryder's incredible gesture wasn't enough, he's got bigger plans for when he grows up.
Firefighter.
Oh, really?
I want to help something that can help mostly the world.
Prince Harry has finally broken his silence over his separation from the royal family in an emotional speech. The Duke of Sussex says there was really no other option as he defended his wife from claims she is behind the royal rift. But the prince also made it clear the deal with the palace on the bombshell split wasn't what he and Meghan wanted.
The modern royal couple who wanted to step back will now step away as Prince Harry opens up about their decision.
I want you to hear the truth from me as much as I can share, not as a prince or a duke, but as Harry.
Speaking at a charity event, he wasted no time in tackling head-on the issues that have been swirling around him and Meghan since they announced their plans to separate from the royal family.
Once Meghan and I were married, we were excited, we were hopeful, and we were here to serve. For those reasons, it brings me great sadness that it has come to this.
It comes after the Queen, seen here leaving a church service in Sandringham with another of her troubled progeny, Prince Andrew, cut loose Harry and Meghan from all royal and military duties. As part of the agreement, there's to be no more public funds or HRH titles, and the couple must repay the millions spent renovating their Frogmore Cottage home, all as they look to forge a new independent life, partly in North America.
The decision that I have made for my wife and I to step back is not one I made lightly. It was so many months of talks after so many years of challenges. There really was no other option. What I want to make clear is we're not walking away.
After less than 2 years of marriage, Harry thanked charities and public support, but made clear the pressure the media's put on the couple.
When I lost my mum 23 years ago, you took me under your wing. You looked out for me for so long, but the media is a powerful force. And my hope is one day our collective support for each other can be more powerful.
Messages of support are coming from the top.
I think the whole country will want to join in wishing them the very best for the future. I said before that I was sure that the royal family has been around a very long time, will find a way forward, and I'm sure it will.
But there was judgment from the man who could soon be called to testify against Meghan in a lawsuit against a tabloid, her estranged father, Thomas Markle.
This is like one of the greatest long-living institutions ever. They're destroying it. They're cheapening it. They're making it shabby.
Come March, there will no longer be scenes like this. No more tours or visits in service of the Crown.
I feel it's sad that we're losing Harry a little bit, but I also can understand.
Yeah, I'm sad, but it's his decision at the end of the day, and obviously the Queen has sorted it all out.
But Harry was quick to state he'll always know his roots.
The UK is my home and a place that I love. That will never change.
Royal through blood and marriage they will always be, but the royal life is now over.
Key world powers and the two main rivals in Libya's civil conflict have agreed to uphold the much-violated arms embargo as part of efforts to bring peace. Libya's leaders attended a summit in Berlin yesterday.
Volatile, complex, Libya's at war with itself. Two factions backed by foreign powers as they wrestle for control of this oil-rich land. Today, world leaders arrived in Berlin to seek a solution. Many of the countries represented at the table have sent troops, weapons, money to both sides, despite a UN weapons embargo. Today, they agreed to stop.
Ich mache mir keine Illusion, dass das natürlich noch eine schwierige Wegstrecke.
I am under no illusion that we have a difficult road ahead of us. And in Libya at the moment, emotions are running high. But we agreed that in light of all the suffering that is happening, and in light of the terrible situation, that it is worth it.
Outside the meeting, supporters of both Libya's internationally recognised Prime Minister and his warlord rival. No truce today, but delegates hope an end to foreign interference might be a first step. They're fuelled by fear that they can no longer rely on Libyan oil supplies, that the instability will inflame Islamist terror in the region, and for Europe's governments, that more and more people will seek refuge in their countries. Libya, known as a gateway to Europe, already hosts hundreds of thousands of migrants.
Until now, we had an escalation of the Libyan conflict with some foreign interference. Now we were facing the risk of a true regional escalation. And that risk was averted in Berlin.
For Libya, some respite. A ceasefire has held for several days now. The so-called Berlin process doesn't guarantee it, nor does it mean the removal of existing foreign troops and weapons. And it's unclear how, or even whether the agreement will be monitored or enforced. But in it, some see the beginning, perhaps, of a long and difficult road to peace.
This is National EMTV News. We go for another break. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The PNG-RFL has launched a high-performance centre in East New Britain Province. The centre is located at Gelgele, just outside of Kokopo Town. Former Hunters and current PNG Kumul's coach, Michael Marum, will manage this high-performance centre.
It's not always that you find a gymnasium in an area on the outskirts of a main town, but here at Gelegele, outside of Kokopo Town, is a high-performance centre. On Friday last week, representatives from the PNG-RFL fraternity gathered to witness the launching of the centre.
On behalf of our chairman, Sandra Saka, and the Rugby League fraternity of Papua New Guinea, it gives me great honour today to cut this ribbon to open the high-performance unit and office in East New Britain and for the New Guinea Islands.
It's an initiative of the former PNG Hunters coach Michael Marum and supported by the PNG-RFL.
Yeah, no, it's mainly for the elite athletes around the region. So, elite athletes meaning the selected players from the juniors competitions, both boys, girls, 14s, 16s, under 18s, 20s. If there's a rep side trying to go somewhere else to play, they can come and utilize the facility. And again, we want to make sure we just don't open it up to all the completely public, and then it's a small center. So, our trainers are there to assist them, provide programs, that sort of thing. So, we want to make sure we follow up as well. So, we just don't allow people to come in one-off training and leave. But we want to make sure we know which part of the region you come from, which club you're from, what age group you're playing at. So, we have to have those information. So you're registered to a league somewhere else. Yeah.
Marum will manage the center after being appointed as the high performance manager in the country, and he says it is a pilot project for the PNG RFL and they are looking at establishing similar centers in other regions.
The future Kumul hunters will come from this. If we do the similar setups around country, then it's going to help national team and also the hunters in competition. So
the center will soon be open to the public, but it will be strictly monitored, Marum says.
I was coach the hunters for 5-6 years there, so when we travel overseas, I admire the setup for the juniors, remote centers, but they still have something, for the players, so they need to do, they used to have, just small sets, they put up a gym, but it's for the small clubs. So I was thinking to myself, probably come back home and just do something.
The center has nothing fancy, but Marum says this can make a difference in a person's sports life if they stay committed to their goals. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV Sports, Kokopo.
Meanwhile, Michael Marum says he hopes to pull all Kumul's players from the New Guinea Islands region together and give them a recognition. Marum says each Kumul representative, both former and current, will be given a Kumul number that marks their involvement in Kumul international games. So far, there have been about 63 players from the NGI region who have represented PNG in internationally sanctioned rugby league matches, including test matches, World Cup and 4 Nations tournaments.
During the launching of the new High Performance Center last Friday, 2 former Kumul's representatives from the New Guinea Islands region were given a recognition. David Tamtu received this recognition as Kumul number 32, who played winger in his debut game against New Zealand in 1978. Lucas Solbart also received this recognition as Kumul number 172, who played front rower in 4 international test matches between 1998 and year 2000. Both men received a cap with their name and Kumul number on it.
People go through the plenty pain, plenty kind something no very position. The time people are very now, people have numbers. All these records we keeping. We are updating every year.
Similar approach will be given to other Kumul representatives from the New Guinea Islands region. Michael Marum is taking the lead in putting the group together after realizing that most players aren't being appreciated well for representing the country in international matches.
Some player will play test match, then don't want to stop playing. So he'll play PM13 or this again, and no test match. Okay. So test matches that's all in West. Okay, so like last test match, we play better than lines.
Marum, who is also a PNG Kumul's representative and Kumul number 197, played his international debut game as hooker and captained the PNG team against France in year 2000. The current list of Kumul's players, both former and current, from the New Guinea Islands region now stands at 63. There are a few who have died, while others are left out of this club dubbed as Kumul Old Boy, that Marum wants to bring them together. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV Sports, Kokopo.
To football, and Kutubu FC, based out of the Highlands region, is giving a second chance to former soccer players. The Highlands region lacks consistent soccer competitions, but Kutubu FC is looking to offer a team that can revive the interest of soccer in the Highlands region.
Kutubu FC, based out of the Highlands region, is the only team from that region that is in the Kumul Petroleum Holdings National Soccer League. The rest of the teams are from the Momase and the Southern region. Even the New Guinea Islands don't have a team in the competition. With this being the scenario for the National Soccer League competition, it was overwhelming for the crowd that turned up to see the underdog team from Kutubu take on Star Mountain FC on Saturday. In the first half, Kutubu had trouble with controlling the ball, and their kicks were not meeting the targets. It was quite embarrassing at times, but things made a turn for the best, with Kutubu winning 4-2 over Star Mountain. Kutubu coach Matthew Witu didn't expect the win, especially with the team's meager ball work. but he was impressed nonetheless with the win.
Yeah, we didn't expect to win the game, but we just like pretty impressed up NSL because okata boys have more mangilo players as well. I mean, because Islands actually we don't know competition Islands, maybe so I'm die, but we just thank you, President of PNGFA, who at least put him game camp game also the Highlands to maybe I can work on the team that comes in.
Soccer is not the biggest sport in the Highlands region, and most players that were once playing in other provinces were left to dwindle in their football skills. For some, it is a second chance. Players like Kutubu skipper Samuel Kinney and hat-trick hero Andrew Apo, who are some of the talented players who were left in the Highlands region.
They'll give second chance in life. Come can play again so they can prove more selectors, national team was we were once a national rep before, but why all look down on me because there's no competition.
For Kinney and Apo, Matthew Witu says they are more here to provide the experience for the younger generation in the team to improve on their skills and knowledge of the game.
But me just kiss him all lost running game that's all because leadership well can make him low nap boys play so they all can look through all can come out role model and then all can line him something.
For Witu, he sees the team as still taking time to pick up the pace and are quite slow in concentration. But he says it is a matter of learning and he is giving his full effort to help motivate the players.
Concentration level I'm very low boys, but winning today they're excited now, but next game will boost the play logan you mean have concentration but that all depends on me how me talk to all players motivate him on keep him all focus track just go next game.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
Don't go anywhere, we'll have more of Trukai Sports when we return.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To some sport abroad, and there have been a host of stars on day one of the Australian Tennis Open. Defending champion Naomi Osaka opening the proceedings, while fresh off a victory in Auckland, Serena Williams embarked on her latest bid to win a record equaling 24th Grand Slam title.
Here. As far as matchups go, this was almost as one-sided as you get. A 23-time Grand Slam champion, 7 of them coming on this very court.
Oh wow, a backhand forged in steel.
Against 18-year-old Russian Anastasia Potapova, a future tennis star perhaps, but simply no match for Serena Williams.
Oh, love the shape of that shot and the pace of it.
The 38-year-old blitzing the first set in just 19 minutes. And while Potapova offered more resistance in the second, there was no stopping this.
What a way to close it out.
A quick day in the office for Williams, which meant plenty of time to reflect more on her Auckland win and what it meant to her 2-year-old daughter.
She just cares about Play-Doh, and I try to tell her I'm somebody, you know?
Also finding reason to fist pump today, last year's winner Naomi Osaka, the 22-year-old first up on Rod Laver Arena and opening her campaign in style.
Precision at the end from the defending champion.
After a somewhat underwhelming 2019, the tournament third seed found depth, power and even a touch of luck in the first slam of the new decade.
Somehow it managed to flop down.
Osaka overcoming the Czech Republic's Marie Buzkova in straight sets and completing a trifecta of big names cruising into the second round, Dane Caroline Wozniacki.
This is a good finish.
The hope of a fairy tale farewell from tennis still alive in her final tournament.
That ends Trukai Sports for this evening. When we come back, we'll take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. We begin in the southern region. Fine becoming cloudy for Port Moresby, partly cloudy in Daru and Kerema. Cloudy weather and some showers in Alotau. Cloudy weather and some rain over the next 24 hours expected in Popondetta. To the Momase region, cloudy weather and some showers expected in Wau. Drizzles and cloudy weather in Ley. Rain and showers expected in Madang. Cloudy weather and some drizzles in Wewak. Fine becoming cloudy for Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, fine although partly cloudy in Lorengau. Rain showers and drizzles with cloudy weather expected in Kavieng. Rain showers and cloudy weather in the morning for Kokopo and Rabaul. Occasional rain and showers for Kimbe, and occasional rain and showers as well as a thunderstorm expected in Buka. And in the Highlands region, all the major centres Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiao, Mendi and Wabeg can all expect rain drizzles with morning fog developing. There is a strong wind warning current for all coastal inland and coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru and Kiwai Island to Kerma, Yule Island, Hood Point, Aroma Coast, including the Samarai Islands and including eastern and western Milne Bay. A look at the forecast of small ships for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerma, Yule Island, Hood Point, Aroma Coast to Samarai Island, and waters of New Island to East New Britain and Bougainville, and waters of West New Britain seas 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters of Eastern and Western Milne Bay Islands seas 1 to 2 meters. Waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Long Island to Karkar Island, Madang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, and waters of Manus and its western group of islands seas 2.5 to 3 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea seas moderate to rough with southwest to northwesterly winds at 20 to 30 knots. Solomon Sea seas slight to moderate with southwest to northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. Bismarck Sea seas rough to high seas with northwesterly winds at 25 to 33 knots. And the Pacific Ocean seas moderate to rough with northwesterly winds tending at 20 to 30 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
And that's the way it is in news, sport and weather for today, Monday, the 20th of January 2020. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.